joined by Mr. Beyrer from Business Europe, who is actually dedicated to bring up growth rates back in Europe. So my first question would be, actually, most people say that growth rates in Europe, or the times of growth for Europe, are over, and it's actually other regions of the world that are growing now. So how do you actually want to bring growth rates back up in Europe?
Well, first I would not agree that they're over. I mean, we are in a situation where the glass is half full. We expect the growth from close to 2%, which is not brilliant, but it's not so bad. And recently, I must say, the so-called emerging economies are the bigger headache, because they are all shrinking or having problems, like also China, and the only exception is India. So I think the picture has changed a little bit. But what is true and what is very clear is that in Europe we need to make more efforts, and we need a mix of things. I mean, first we will have to be more competitive by doing the reforms. We know that we should do them for a long time, labor market reforms, other reforms, but we hadn't done them so far. Second point is, of course, we will have to change our approach to risk. We are more and more a risk-averse continent, and of course it's very clear that if you're a rich continent and if you're an aging continent, you need to be more innovative than the others and not less. Therefore, we need to allow for more innovation, and this of course is also linked to, of course, not taking any risk, but it's also linked to also see the opportunities. And the third point is, of course, we need to digitize our economy. Of course, the whole world is digitizing, but we need to do it rapidly enough. And there's a study which has been made for our German member BDI, which is saying until the year 2025, if we get it right, we can add 1.25 trillion to our industrial value added. But if we blow it, we'll lose 600 billion, which is 1/10 of our industrial base. And in between these two poles, there is prosperity and happiness, and tears and unemployment. So we need to get it right.
So we've had this discussion for a couple of years now, but do you think there are any limits to growth?
Well, I don't think there's any technical limits to growth. I mean, the issue is, of course, growth will have to be different. I mean, there will have to be more innovation, and there will be solutions we do not even think about today. So I think we should not believe in the ends of growth, but we should make it better, we should make it faster, but we should, of course, also add to the quality.
As I said, your company is actually dedicated to fostering growth in Europe. We have the European Union in Europe, which started mainly as an economic union. Do you think it's still mainly of an economic purpose, or do you think it's mainly a political union nowadays?
Well, of course, there was a lot of economic reasons, but let's not forget that at the beginning it was something in order to guarantee for peace in Europe, and this is maybe a very large achievement. But then, of course, it has been basically driven by the economy, and now it turns out, not only in the financial crisis, but already before, we need more of a political union as a strong backbone to have the economy thrive. And it's very clear that we will have to go in this direction. We will have to have a deeper and better functioning monetary union, and at some stage we will have to have a stronger political union. But of course we are in a very interesting mix of different crises, but crises are also always opportunities. To give you one example, I mean, of course the refugee crisis is really difficult to manage. But if things go right, by this summer or by this autumn at the latest, we might have a European Coast Guard. Something which would have been unthinkable 2 or 3 years ago without the refugee crisis. So crisis is always opportunities, and we have to seize these opportunities, and we have to make things better.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.